Okay, the Christmas Box, Chapter 2. I'll do my best to remember the voices I use, but you know me, I'll probably get them mixed up. It's not my intent to launch upon a lengthy or sanctimonious dissertation on the social significance and impact of the lowly box, well deserved as it may be. But as the box plays a significant role in our story, please allow me the indulgence of digression. That means let me go off topic and get you up to speed. A lot of times we'll say squirrel because people go off onto a different topic. From the inlaid jade and coral jewelry boxes of the Orient to the utilitarian salt boxes of the Pennsylvania Dutch, the allure of the box has transcended all cultural and geographical boundaries of the world. The cigar box, the snuff box, the cash box, jewelry boxes, more ornate than the treasures they hold, the ice box, and the candle box. Trunks, long rectangular boxes covered with cowhide, stretched taut and pounded with brass studs to a wooden frame. Oak boxes, sterling boxes, to the delight of the women hat boxes and shoe boxes, and to the delight of all the enslaved by a sweet tooth, candy boxes. The human life cycle no less than evolves around the box, from the open top box called a bassinet to the pine box we call a coffin. The box is our past, and just as assuredly, our future. It should not surprise us then that the lowly box plays such a significant role in the first Christmas story. For Christmas began in a humble, hay-filled box of splintered wood. The Magi, wise men who had traveled far to see the infant king, laid treasure-filled boxes at the feet of that holy child. And in the end, when he had ransomed our sins with his blood, the Lord at Christmas was laid down in a box of stone. How fitting that each Christmas season, brightly wrapped boxes skirt the pine boughs of Christmas trees around the world, and more fitting that I learned of Christmas through a Christmas box. So you can see that he kind of went off from the main story. Do you guys have any boxes? I have some really cool ones I'll have to try to remember to grab in here that were from my grandmother. They're music boxes. They're little brown wooden ones. They've been here in the library for a long time. Some of you have seen them. I do have hat boxes. I have one in the playroom and one... Where's the other one at? Oh, I think it might be, maybe both of them are in the playroom. I have lots of shoe boxes. I bet you guys do too. And I don't have a cigar box anymore, but I used to. But I never had cigars. I had found one in a garbage can and we decorated it and the top comes up and goes down. I used to put my treasures in it. So there's all kinds of boxes, right? All right. Back to the story. We determined to settle into the home as soon as possible, so the following Saturday I borrowed a truck from work, and my brother-in-law, Barry, the only relative living within 200 miles, came to help us move. The two of us hauled things out to the truck, while Carrie wrapped dishes in newspaper and packed them in boxes, and Jenna played contentedly in the front room, oblivious to the gradual disappearance of her belongings. We managed to load most of our things, which were not great in number, into the truck. The rest of the boxes were piled into our Plymouth, a large pink and chrome coupe with graceful curves, majestic tail fins, and a grill resembling the wide, toothy grin of a Cheshire cat. When we had finished clearing out the apartment, the four of us squeezed into the cargo-laden vehicles and together drove off to our new residence in the avenues. I parked the car out front and met Barry in the driveway. "Just pull it around back," I shouted, guiding the truck with the hand gestures. He backed around to the rear of the house, pulled the parking brake, and hopped out. "You're moving into a mansion?" he asked enviously. "Your blue-blooded sister found it," I replied. I released the tailgate while Barry untied the straps, securing the canvas tarpaulin we had used to cover the load. "Here, give me a hand with this wicker chest. We'll take it straight up to the attic." Barry grabbed hold of the handle at one end of the chest, and we lifted it down the truck's bed. "Only one person lives in this house?" he asked. "Four now, counting the three of us," I replied. "With all that room, why doesn't her family just move in with her?" "She doesn't have any family. Her husband died and she doesn't have any children." Barry surveyed the ornate Victorian facade. "There's bound to be a lot of history in a place like this," he said thoughtfully. We made our way up the stairs, through the kitchen, down the hall, then up the attic steps. We set the chest down at the top of the landing to catch our breath. We better make some room up here before we bring the rest of the things up, Barry suggested. I agreed. Let's clear a space against that wall so we can keep our things all in one place. We began the chore of rearranging the attic. I thought you said she didn't have any children, Barry said. She doesn't, I replied. Why is there a cradle up here then? Barry stood near a dusty draped sheet revealing the form of a shrouded cradle. Maybe she's storing it for someone, I suggested. I lifted a small stack of boxes and set them aside. I haven't seen one of these for a while, I said, displaying my own discovery. What is it? A tie press. It must have been her husband's. Barry hoisted a large portrait of a man with a bicycle handle mustache, posing stoically for the picture. The portrait was set in an elaborate gold leaf frame. Look, he said, they're Banker. We laughed. Hello, look at this, I said, as I gently lifted what looked to be an heirloom. It was an ornate wooden box of buried walnut, intricately carved and highly polished. It was about 10 inches wide, 14 inches long, and a half a foot deep, large enough for a sheet of stationery to lie flat inside. It had 2 large brass hinges crafted in the form of holly leaves. 2 leather straps ran horizontally across the lid and buckled securely into silver clasps on each side. The facade was a skilled and detailed etching of the Nativity. Barry walked over for a closer look. I've never seen anything like it, I said. What is it? Barry asked. A Christmas box for storing Christmas things in. Cards, baubles, things like that. I shook it gently. There was no rattle. How old do you think it is? Barry asked. Turn of the century, I replied. See the craftsmanship? While he took a closer look, I cast my eyes around the room at the work remaining to be done. We better get on with this, I lamented. I have a lot of work to catch up on tonight. I set the box aside and we went back to organizing space for our things. It was dark outside by the time we finished unloading the truck. Carrie had long finished unpacking the kitchen boxes, and dinner was waiting for us on the table when we came down. Well, sister, what do you think of your new home? Barry asked. I could get used to all this room, Carrie said, and the furniture. You should see some of the things up in the attic, I said. Mom, how will Santa find our new house? Jenna asked anxiously. Oh, Santa's elves keep track of these things, she assured her. The trick will be how Santa's reindeer will land on the roof without impaling themselves, I joked. Carrie cast a sideways glance toward me. What's impaling? Asked Jenna. Never mind, your dad, he's just teasing. Barry laughed. Aren't you supposed to be making dinner for the lady? He asked. We officially begin our arrangement on Monday. In fact, she is making dinner for us tomorrow. At least she's invited us to dine with her. Is that right? I asked. She was up here just before the 2 of you came down. This should be interesting, I decided. We finished the meal, and after thanking Barry profusely for his help, we cleared away the dishes. Then I dove into a pile of receipts and ledgers while Carrie put Jenna to bed. Can Daddy read me a story? She asked. Not tonight, honey. Daddy has a lot of work to do. It doesn't have to be a long one, she pleaded. Not tonight, honey. Some other time. A disappointed child was tucked under the covers and went into sleep, yearning for some other time. That's chapter 2.